You're watching Voice of the Heroes. I'm Marie Westbrook. I'm the voice of Hanami, Dorio, and Ikumi.
What's good, everybody? It's the one and only one, Fleetboy Jetson, and you're listening to the #1 anime podcast in the world, Voice of the Heroes. And if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification so you don't miss any discussions or interviews on your favorite heroes and villains from around the world. And today we got a very special guest. He has voiced many characters in your favorite animes. I'm talking about One Piece, Attack on Titan, Dragon Ball Z Kai, Full Metal Alchemist, and so many more, man. We got Mr. Brett Weaver with us today. How you doing, sir? And welcome to the channel.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Now, you played in some amazing animes as some amazing characters. Do you have a preference when it comes to casting yourself as a hero or villain? And if so, what role is more fun to embody?
Well, I can say that if I get the choice, the character that I seem to play best is like the anti-hero or the hero that dies so that the kid wants to be like that hero. I've done a ton of shows like that. Martian Successor Nadesco, and I even did Gurren Lagann, but before it went to LA, and I got to play all different characters like that. But in the end, it can be a good character, it can be a bad character. I like funny. Funny is the thing that I always want to do.
Who do you feel like is your funniest character, or was your funniest character?
I think well, Kamino was a great character. Very funny. We got to do some fun stuff with that. Unfortunately, nobody's gotten to see it. But the Sorcerer Hunter was my first lead role that I got to do, and Carrot Glace was a hilarious character that I really enjoyed doing. Even in Attack on Titan, Gunther was funny in spots.
Yeah, I like Gunther.
He's a great character where, he could put the funny note and move on. And of course, if I'm not going to be the lead, then I want to be that supporting character that occasionally people will be like, man, I'm so glad that guy's there.
You also played a more serious character in one of the greatest Street Fighters in the world, probably the most iconic when it comes to Street Fighter, Ryu. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's funny because it's Street Fighter 2V, which was the anime that was really released in the UK more than it was in the United States. So Kyle Bear is Ryu, but I'm Ryu in a different way. And the thing that was so funny about that show was there was a vibe between Ken and Ryu that you were going, okay, are those two guys, are they together? And I actually asked, I was like, so are these two guys together? I mean, are they? No. This is Capcom. They're just friends. I'm like, okay, are you sure? And they said, yeah. And I said, because Ryu says there's only one person. It's 4,000 miles from Tokyo to San Francisco, California, and there's only one person I'll do that trip for, Ken Masters. I'm like, so they're not. I was like, okay. So then they get there. He gets there. They're riding on a motorcycle together through the like. I'm like, they're not. And he's like, no, they are not. I'm like, okay. So they go to a place called the Burlap Barrel in San Francisco, which is a known gay bar. I'm like, wait a minute. So and they're like, no. It's like, why don't just lean in? And every single time there'd be some line that I would just look over the director and he'd just shake his head. I'm like, just let them be. Come on. It'll be great. I mean, he's not even hitting on, who's the girl with the legs? Chun-Li. He's not even hitting on Chun-Li. And they're like, no, he's not. So yeah, I had a lot of fun playing that character just because inside I'm going to play this character as gay. I'm sorry. I'm just doing it. I'm just going to do it.
Hey man, let me find out Ryu had some secret thoughts for Ken.
I just think he does, especially like, and if you watch the anime, that one, through the whole thing when they're talking to each other, I swear to God, they're like this the whole time. They're like, so, Ken. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're killing me. Come on.
All right, let's move on to some more roles that you played. The iconic and probably the most popular anime in the entire world, One Piece. You was a part of that as Mr. One and Captain
Mhm.
Morgan. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little about those characters for the 1% of the world that doesn't watch One Piece?
Sure. Mr. One is like the first really bad guy that you see in the series. I mean, he's the bad underling in the series, and he fights with Rora Nora Zoro, and there's a great sequence that goes through. Mr. One doesn't talk very much, and actually, over the years, I've played him in certain series. So when I first recorded him, Mr. One, that was 22 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I think it was 22 years ago. So I did that. We ran through what is it? Alabasta is that first part is the first part of it. I may be wrong in what I'm saying. And then huge fight with Zoro. He's gone. 11 years later, they reach out to me and say, hey, would you like to come in and record? And I'm like, great, what character? And they said, Mr. One. And I was like, well, isn't that guy dead? And they're like, no, he was been in prison this whole time. I'm like, oh, it's one of those. Okay. So then I come in, record about an hour's worth of recording. And now he's gone again.
Oh, wow.
Skip to earlier this year, and they said, hey, can you come in for 15 minutes to record? And I was like, great, what character? And they're like, Mr. One. I go, 15 minutes? I said, that's like one line, isn't it? That's like one line. No, Brett, it's not one line. So I go to the studio, I get there, get in the booth. It's not one line. It's one line and a grunt.
Oh, wow. One line in a grunt. And that was
And a
recently.
grunt.
That was this year?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So, did that episode already come out?
Ooh, I think so.
One Piece.
Yeah,
fans,
it should have come out by
below.
now.
Let us know. Is the episode that they revisit Mr. One? Let us know in the comments section. So now,
Yeah.
Captain Morgan, how did that come about?
Well, that was kind of along the same lines of that I was doing the one bad guy, and they're like, oh, we want you as the other bad guy. And I was working with Mike McFarlane on this, and the great thing about it is, like, I came in thinking it's a pirate anime. Great, let's do it. And he said to me, we will never say shiver me timbers. We will never say R. That'll never happen. He said, so that's not the kind of pirates these are. Even though when you look on the screen, you're like, that's the kind of pirates they are. And he's like, no, that's not what we're doing. And
Who did you play first, Mr. One or Captain Morgan?
I think Mr. One was first, and then Captain Morgan was after that. And I think I've recorded Captain Morgan a couple of times over the years. Another one of those big time periods. Of course, it was great to see him in the live show. And no, I was not approached to see if I could be.
Was both your characters in the live action?
No, I think only Captain Morgan. Yeah.
So with the success of the live action One Piece series that's been blowing up, they recently just, did early castings for season 2 for Mr. 9, Mr. 5, Mr. 3, and Miss Valentine. Who would you like to see cast as Mr. One in the live action?
Oh, if I had a choice?
Yeah, if you was the director.
I would probably want who's the guy from Reacher?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Man, he's good. Reacher was
Yeah.
actually really good the last
Reacher was
season.
really good.
Yeah, it was really good this last season. I was highly impressed. Oh
But
my
I just saw that same guy, and of course everybody's like screaming at the monitor right now. But I just saw him on Ministry of Ungentlemanly Acts. He was in that too, and he's, I mean, such a bear. He's so
yeah.
like
I
beefy
would like
boy
to
who would
see
be
him in the
perfect for that.
MCU or in DC also.
Well, he was in DC.
He was? What
Yeah,
role
he
he
was
played?
on the Titans.
The TV
Uh,
series.
yeah, the TV series.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, he was on
okay.
Titans, and he was I can't remember once
Yeah,
again.
I really didn't. I seen the Titans, but I don't remember him being in that.
Yeah,
Crazy.
early like 2 seasons. He's in there with and his girlfriend. It's like he and a girl.
Oh,
They're
Hawk and Dove. I
there. You
think
go. Yeah,
Hawk and Dove or something like
he's
that.
Hawk.
Oh, that's right. He was Hawk and Dove.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I can definitely see him in almost anything, man. I would like to see him
Yeah,
in some more projects, especially with Marvel building up the way they're
yeah.
they're going now. I would like to see him in a Marvel project. All right, so now we gotta get to know the person behind the characters that we love. What was some of the things what was some of the things that you did before acting, and what inspired you to be an actor?
So I've been acting pretty much most of my life. Back in the day, like I was in junior. I think junior high is when I started acting. High school, Broken Arrow High School in Oklahoma.
To
Broadway actress Kristen Chenoweth is from Broken Arrow, and we were in high school together, and we performed
Oh.
together. So I've been doing some, like if you really want to go back, I was the kid in school that when everybody took turns reading and the other kids didn't want to read, I was always the one going, "No, I can read. That's fine." So I was always the one, I'm not a ham, but I was always the one that was like, "I'm not afraid to do any of this stuff. So let's go." And
Yeah.
so went to college. It was a music major in college, but continued to do musical theater and regular theater. Uh, Getting out of college, went back to Houston, started doing children's theater, and I was performing with Amanda Winley, who she's Ray in Evangelion, uh,
Mm.
and amongst a ton of other things too. But we were doing children's theater together. She had done a show called Burn Up, and had me watch it, and I laughed and made fun of it. And she goes, "Oh, you think you could do better?" And I was like, "I know I could do better," but because also at the same time I was in radio as a DJ, and so
Oh,
she
let me
she
find out.
yeah, she said, "Fine, I'll get you an audition." And so I went, and they were thinking I was just a friend until I got on the mic, and they were very impressed. And so I did a show called oh, what was it? Well, I ended up doing Burn Up W, which was the sequel, and also
Mm. Was that your first role?
that was my first anime role. Yeah, that one, and I played Washington in oh, it's the one with the car. I can't remember. We just redubbed it recently.
Recently.
No, not redubbed, but it was remastered. But so yeah, I did that, and then just each time I was thinking, well, that was cool. I'm going to go be an IT professional, and they kept calling me back for more roles, and so
That's
I ended up doing
awesome.
I ended up doing Martian Successor Nadesco and Evangelion and uh,
Evangelion, right? Was that one of the roles that made you feel like this was your breakout role?
no, Sorcerer Hunters was my breakout role.
That was the one, Sorcerer Hunters.
Yeah,
Tell
and
us
of
a little
course
bit
nobody
about.
remembers it anymore, but
I'm gonna check it out because I love stuff like that.
yeah,
Sorcerers, wizards, things like that. That's my cup of tea. So I'm
My
definitely gonna
character
check it
being
out.
funny and he turns into a giant monster, and the only way that he can stop being a monster is the two girls that are in the team have to beat him up. They turn into S&M goddesses, doms, and they beat him up until he turns back to human
Hey,
again.
that's the way to just stop you from being a monster, huh? That's the
And then
best way.
then I did other shows like Excel Saga. It was one as Nabishin. That was a big one for me. And then, coming in and doing One Piece was one of those that I was like, "Ooh, this is a long running one too. That's going to be really interesting." And sure enough, here we are 20 something years later, and it's
Still
still
talking
rolling.
about it. Still talking about these characters because these are characters that resonate with a lot of people and a lot of people love.
Hmm.
Um, since you've been in voice acting, what do you think was or is the biggest misconception about voice acting?
That we get to choose which roles we're in. That never happens.
It's like, hey, you gonna pick him, so
Well,
yeah,
it's like I can try, but in the end, so many times people go, "You should be in that show." It's like, yeah, I should. What am I
yeah, I
gonna
wish.
do?
Because a lot of people tell me, a lot of voice actors tell me that they might send in tapes or audition for like maybe like 50 shows and get a call back on maybe one.
Yeah,
And that's monthly. So I'm
yeah.
yeah, I do agree with that. What's one of the lines from one of the characters that you played that resonate with you on a personal level?
Um, One of the funnier ones uh, is from Gurren Lagann, the character of Kamina, where he says, "Don't believe in yourself. Believe in the me who believes in you," which I always thought
Now
that was a
that
really
I
good
like
one.
that line actually, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah, don't
dope.
believe in yourself. Believe in me who believes in you.
This is kind of funny too. What also, man, speaking of animes, you say you don't get to choose, but if you could choose, right? Are there any upcoming or ongoing animes that you would like to be a part of?
Uh, the shows that I'm really excited about have been, oh man, some of the Netflix shows that have been coming out, I'm really
Ooh.
excited about. Like, I would love to be in Arcane. I would love to be on Arcane.
Arcane is
Uh,
one of my favorite. It's like up there in like top three animes of all time for me.
oh yeah, and that's not anime.
Yeah, it's not. It's more like a Western cartoon, you can say, like,
Yeah,
because even younger, I couldn't decipher which one was which. Like when it came to cartoons, and I always looked at anime like cartoons, and that's because I grew up
sure,
on watching Pokemon, Dragon
right.
Ball, things like that, coming on Fox or WB, things like
See, and
that.
when I was a kid, I didn't know that Speed Racer was Japanese. I
Wow,
always thought it was
I'm
just a
just learning
cartoon I
that right
listened.
now. I'm
Yeah,
not even lying to you. I'm just learning that right now. I've always thought Speed Racer was a cartoon, man. Big shout out Speed Racer, man. That
yeah.
was one of my joints. I did like Speed Racer. Now, this necessarily doesn't have to be, you don't have to pick three animes. You can pick three cartoons, whatever you like. But what are your top three animes of all time?
Uh, it would be Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Great choice. Loving,
Uh,
loving
it,
the
it
list
would.
already.
Phew, yeah. Arcane, like we had just said, that's really good. The Dragon Prince that's been running.
Wow. Yo, you are my guy. I love you, Brett. Let me tell you why. Because nobody has been watching the Dragon Prince that I know. And I've been telling the new season just came out on Friday. July, I want to say 26th, right?
27th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. The if you're not watching Dragon Prince, it's about 6 seasons out. It's amazing
Yes.
storytelling, amazing visuals.
Yes.
You're probably the first person I know in my entire life who spoke about this show. So you just made my day with that,
Oh,
man.
that's
You're,
fantastic.
yeah, your three. I'm rocking with your three, man. Avatar: The Last Airbender, Arcane,
Hmm.
and Dragon Prince, man. If you haven't seen those, make sure you see that.
And I like Hilda too, which is another one that
Hilda?
Yeah.
I might
Hilda's
have
a
to
really sweet. It's a really sweet. I think it's Scandinavian. That's really sweet. About a girl growing up where there's trolls. So, yeah.
I might have to check that out. Now, unfortunately, we come to the end of the interview, but thank you so much for joining us here on Voice of the Heroes podcast. But before we go, do you have any upcoming projects or conventions coming up that you could talk about?
Well, I don't have any conventions coming out. Nobody's called me. That's fine. But I am working with my wife, who's she's working on a new graphic novel called Shot and Chaser, which is an adult comic about two people on a day in the life of two storm chasers. And I've been helping with editing for that. I am currently, I've got a podcast called Two Beers In, which is a positive news and drinking, basically, is what we do. And you can find that at Two Beers in Austin or twobeersin.com. I am also, because I'm so involved in different things, I'm also on the board of a theater here in Austin called Penfold Theater, which we're moving into a permanent space as of September. So
that's awesome.
my head, that's why I'm not doing a lot of conventions, is because we're trying to get that space
now
built.
You're working, man. Podcast, graphic novel, getting spaces, things like that, man. That's awesome. I salute you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure. Also, if you all in the description, we're gonna have a bunch of links for you so you can follow the podcast. You can follow them on social media. Where can they find you at on social media?
I am old enough to where I'm not very good at that. So you can find me on Instagram, Brett Weaver, or I'm an olds. So Facebook, you can find me there. I've kind of backed away from Twitter. But but I'm around. Or BrettWeaverVoice.com. You can go to that website.
Definitely. Make sure y'all lock in, heroes. And until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all.
Sing it with me, pretty Cali.